Good afternoon. Today is Thursday, April 18th, 2019. It is 2:03 p.m. This is a special meeting of the Gender Equity Safe Communities New Americans and Education Committee. I'm Councilmember Lorena Gonzalez, chair of this committee, and joining me at the table this afternoon is my colleague, Councilmember Teresa Mosqueda. Thank you for being here. Yeah. There are 10 items on today's agenda. First, we will consider a vote on 6 appointments and 1 reappointment to the Community Police Commission. Following consideration of these appointments, we'll discuss and likely vote on 2 resolutions. One is a partnership agreement with Seattle Public Schools, and the other is a partnership agreement with Seattle Colleges. And then lastly, we will discuss the 2018 Families Education Preschool and Promise Levy Implementation and Evaluation Plan for the 3rd and final time, concluding with what I hope will be a vote on a package of amendments and a vote on the full implementation plan for a final consideration by the full council on Monday, April 22nd at 2 p.m. Before we continue, we will hold our regular public comment period. I will call out each individual's name in the order that they signed up. Each individual is asked to begin their public comment by reminding us of their name and by speaking to an item on the agenda for today. Each speaker has up to 2 minutes to provide us public comment. After the 2 minutes, I'll ask you to wrap up and your microphone will be turned off. So we will go ahead and proceed. The first person signed up for public comment today is Melissa Westbrook, followed by Sandra Taylor.
My name is Melissa Westbrook, and I write the most widely read public education blog in Washington State. I have some questions about the mayor's implementation plan for the Families Levy. Number 1, according to charter school law, if a charter is not part of a group, it is its own district. Why then is only Seattle schools required to have a signed partnership agreement in order for their high school graduates to have access to the Promise funds, but charter schools do not? That is on page 103. Number 2, why is all the mention of serving homeless students centered around Seattle Public Schools? That is part of charter schools' responsibility as well. Also, I assume this plan is fairly recent, but I note on page 72 it says Seattle Schools serves 2,000 homeless students. It's more like 3,000. Number 3, on the previous point, I do want to note that when you're measuring outcomes, it is important to remember that charter schools can limit the number of students in their schools. They can control who comes in, and they can exit students if they do not want to serve them. It's easier to have better outcomes when you can control your student body. Regular public schools cannot. Despite the frequent use of the phrase charter schools, it is not defined in the glossary. Lastly, to remind you, when the charter law passed, it was voted down in Seattle by a wide margin. Charter law does not require you to include charter schools. You are doing this the mayor is doing this as a purely political move. During the levy campaign, I asked if charters would have access to these K-12 funds, and I was told we're waiting for an opinion from the city attorney. After it passed, I asked the city attorney's office. They said there is no legal opinion. So clearly there was no legal opinion to be waited on at all. During the campaign, I called everyone's office, and I got a variety of mostly waffling answers about your support for charter schools. Face-to-face, both of you told me you did not support them. If you waffle on your support for charter schools in this plan, it will not serve you well. Cory Booker and Beto O'Rourke are going to find this out in their presidential campaigns, how much charter schools are not part of a progressive agenda. And if you aspire to higher office, I suggest you consider that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person is Sandra Taylor, followed by David Haynes.
Hi, my name is Sandra Taylor, and I am the Seattle Preschool Coordinator with Child Care Resources. And I just want to speak quickly to a few points. First, it's important to point out the uniqueness of the family child care model. FCC providers cultivate and maintain much deeper relationships with both the children in their care and their families, largely due to the intimacy of an in-home environment with fewer children. This deeper understanding of children's needs and family situations, combined with the nimbleness of a smaller program, impact how a provider customizes her teaching, caregiving, and parent involvement. These 2 unique strengths definitely contribute to the positive outcomes the pilot participants experienced. It was easy for all 6 of the providers in our hub this past 2 years to identify differences their programs prior to SPP pilot compared to their programs today. 4 significant improvements to all of their programs include: 1, evidence-based curriculum to guide daily learning activities; 2, assessment tools to better track children's development and progress towards milestones; access to third-party health screenings that identify learning barriers such as vision impairments or developmental delays that need medical intervention; 4, biannual observation visits from the UW assessment team to track the outcomes of the tools. And just from a personal testimony of one of our homeless families, I think that's where one of our biggest impacts have been. We had a case where a young mother was homeless. She did couch surfing, was with parents for a while. Now she's at a shelter. Unfortunately, she was out of the city of Seattle, but we found out we could still get her in. She was extremely ecstatic for that reason. So I just want to applaud this program. It's a great program, and I look forward to what will happen in the coming years.
Thank you, Sandra. Okay, final speaker is David Haynes.
Thank you. Let's remember that Seattle legalized proper grown marijuana. Exempting crack, meth, and heroin pushers undermines the family levy investments of destroying innocence. So please, with this community police commission, let's keep a sober mind in fact that even though there's some rage and hate, that we should not be exempting low-level drug pushers who are destroying other people's lives. And that there's a court case that was thrown out last Friday after 20 months of basically denying a innocent person's rights. And the police have been taking payoffs from the bartenders in overtime payments in Belltown. And they're literally lying on police reports and causing innocent people to be jailed and screwed with for 20 months. And so, hopefully there'll be a great surge of accountability on all levels of governance, starting with one of the most important, this committee, that guarantees that the police will be kept honest in their efforts to guarantee that justice will prevail. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. That is the last person we have signed up on the sign-up sheet. Is there anyone who's with us today that didn't get a chance to sign up but would like to offer us public testimony? Okay, seeing no one, I'm going to close out the public comment period, and we are going to go ahead and begin the items of business on today's agenda. So if you are here for appointment or reappointment to the Community Police Commission, I'm going to ask that you make your way to the table. And while that is happening, I'll have Roxana read the, agenda items 1 through 7 into the record.
Appointments 1 through 7, appointments 1294 through 1300, appointments of Natasha Moore, Mark Mullins, and Alina Cynthia as members, Seattle Community Police Commission for a term to December 31st, 2019. And appointments of Brandy Grant, Esther Lucero, and Karissa Morikawa as members, Seattle Community Police Commission for a term to December 31st, 2021. And reappointment of Joseph Saya as member, Seattle Community Police Commission for a term to December 31st, 2019 for briefing, discussion, and possible vote.
Great. Thank you, Roxana. Okay, so I think we've got everybody. All right. So why don't we go ahead and do a quick round of introductions, just your first and last name. And then I will hand it over to Cody, who will kick us off. And then Cody, after you, will be Deputy Mayor Ranganathan. Yeah. Great.
Cody Ryder, Office of Councilmember Gonzalez.
And Joseph Sia.
Shefali Ranganathan with Mayor Dorkin's office.
Faye Lopez, Executive Director of the Seattle Community Police Commission.
Harriet Walden, one of the co-chairs for the Community Police Commission.
Officer Mark Mullins of the Seattle Police Department.
Natasha Moore, Brandy Grant,
Karissa Morikawa,
Alina Cynthia, Esther Lucero.
Great. Okay, so just when you speak into the microphone, you got to make sure you have it really close to you, and the green light on the stem has to be on if you want to say something. They are very sensitive microphones once you get them close to you, so just keep in mind that it is always a hot mic if that green light is on. My staff likes to remind me of that on occasion. And so we will go ahead and get started. So Cody, why don't you go ahead and get us going?
All right. So among the 7 appointments and reappointments we have at the table, 4 of them are being made by Councilmember Gonzalez in the Seattle City Council. I'm going to introduce those 4 nominees, but I want to quickly acknowledge before that the gaps analysis report completed by CPC in February of 2018. It was a guide to some of the representative gaps that were not represented on the board, and it was really helpful for us in doing recruitment and selection of nominees, so thank you for that. So among Councilmember Gonzalez's nominees, we have Brandy Grant. Brandy is currently the program manager at the Alliance for Gun Responsibility Foundation. There, she works to build a network of advocates and allies to help promote education, awareness, and recovery services for DV survivors. Brandy has 20-plus years of community work in organizing, mental health, and program management. Brandy earned her bachelor's degree at the University of Tulsa and her master's degree at the University of Oklahoma. Natasha Moore works as a program manager with Choose 180, a restorative justice organization. Natasha also previously worked for the YMCA of Greater Seattle in multiple roles, including as an outreach worker. Natasha is a board member of the Beacon Hill Hub and is currently enrolled at Seattle Central Community College. Karissa Morikawa also works at Choose 180 as a Cedar navigator. There, she supports youth and their families when facing a felony charge. Previously, she worked as a case manager for CCYJ's Link intervention team while being employed by the YMCA Young Adult Services. Karissa earned her bachelor's degree in social work at the University of Washington, Seattle. Finally, we have Alina Cynthia. Alina works in a new role as the Director of Racial Equity for Seattle Center Cohort, supporting Seattle Center organizations to strengthen the racial equity strategies and practices. Previously, Alina worked at KEXP 90.3 FM in several roles, including as Community Engagement Manager. Alina earned a bachelor's degree from the University of Southern Mississippi.
Great. And we'll get to a point where will get to identify yourselves again, and we'll ask some questions and allow you an opportunity to give remarks. But before we do that, why don't we go ahead and hear from Deputy Mayor Ranganathan about the mayor's office nominations.
Thank you, Councilmember Gonzalez. It is my great pleasure on behalf of Mayor Durkin to nominate Esther Lucero to this Community Police Commission. Esther, as many of you know, is the Chief Executive Officer at the Seattle Indian Health Board in the International District. The Seattle Indian Health Board is a community pillar helping to support our Native neighbors, and they operate a treatment center, Thunderbird Treatment Center, a 65-bed residential treatment program in Rainier Beach. They also host the Urban Indian Health Institute, one of 12 tribal epidemiology centers in the nation. Esther is also the co-chair of the Healthier Here governing board and is proud to be a delegate for the American Indian Health Commission.
Great. And now we will hear from Executive Director Lopez.
Good afternoon. I'm really excited. We are all really excited. So we welcome them with open arms. The CBC has 7 positions. 2 of those positions are reserved for Seattle Law Enforcement Union representatives, one from the Seattle Police Officers Guild and one from the Seattle Police Management Association. And today, Officer Mark Mullins will be filling the SPOG, Seattle Police Officer Guild's position that was formerly Officer Kevin Stuckey's former position. Officer Mullins was born and raised in Dayton, Ohio, and received his political science degree from Central State University. Officer Mullins previously worked for Intel and then for Microsoft in Redmond. He became an officer with SPD in 1990. He's worked in South Precinct for 29 years, where he spent several years on the anti-crime team, was one of the original mountain bike patrol officers, where he's told me back then they didn't really put those bikes together for them. They just kind of got on a bike and rolled. And then as a community police officer. In the last position, he has worked closely with El Centro de la Raza and the community at the El Centro housing program, as well as other community groups. In 2015, his car was selected to not answer 911 calls because he's on patrol, but to instead ride around in the community to engage with residents, with youth. So he is actually a patrol that doesn't answer 911, but he actually talks to folks and engages and makes relationships. He was voted Officer of the Year for South Precinct in 2017. Officer Mullins also currently serves as a shop steward for SPOG. He believes in the power of diversity and believes he can aid in restoring community faith in the police. He also enjoys good Netflix documentary binges and fishes for bass on his boat, weather permitting. I'm also here with us today is Joseph Sea, who's actually here for reappointment. He is the Director of Youth Services at New Horizons. He's also our newest chair of our Community Engagement Committee and has done quite a bit of work. He recently went with a contingent of SPD, Seattle Police Department, and CPC folks who went to Denver to go do a site visit on the Kids and Cops program. And does quite a bit of youth development work. He's also a board co-chair for Utopia, the United Territories of Pacific Islanders Alliance, which is a queer and trans people of color-led grassroots organization. At the next committee meeting, Reverend Harriet Walden will be a reappointment, and I'll introduce her at that time.
Great.
Thank you, and I'm just here to welcome all the new appointees as a co-chair to the Seattle Police Commission, and we're really excited to have new people coming on, and that. So I just wanted to give you a big welcome and to say thank you for saying yes. Yes is so important in today's world, and you said yes. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you, Reverend Walden. Okay, so why don't we start where we ended with the Community Police Commission nominations, and one appointment, one reappointment. So I'm assuming that because Joseph is here, you all continue to be happy with his work and want him to continue to do said work.
He is a chair of a position, so yes, please.
Great. Joseph, why don't you share with us a little bit about your experience thus far on the Community Police Commission, where you think the Community Police Commission is headed or needs to head, and how you hope to be able to facilitate that through your reappointment.
Yeah, it's been such an honor to be a part of the CPC in the past year as part of the community engagement team. I've seen that work being led by Roxana at CPC grow in so many ways, and just grow in accountability with our partners in ways that is not always reactive, but how do we continue to strengthen those ties with community nonprofits and also with the other systems partners. So I'm looking forward to serving again for another year.
Great. Excellent. Any other questions, Councilmember Mosqueda, for Joseph in particular?
Well, Joseph, thank you so much. We had the chance to visit Southwest Youth and Family Services when we were down in the Delridge area doing a community tour that day. Really excited about the work you do. Can you talk a little bit about, I'm probably going to ask everybody this, what do you see in terms of accountability? Who do you see yourself being accountable to, and what does accountability mean and look like to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I used to work there at Southwest Youth and Family Services, but now I'm at New Horizons. I currently chair Undoing Institutional Racism Collaborative with 16 youth homeless serving organizations. And one of the biggest concerns is the interactions that we have with police and shelter services and emergency services with their young people. Our young people are often the most institutionalized. They're the ones that are picked up and are very much involved. And so with our work we want to bring some of those challenges that happens right there at the front lines of where the youth homelessness world meets the policing world. And what is it that we can offer that can improve, and how can we institutionalize some of those improvements? Part of that is how to increase trauma-informed care and all of the points that young people are kind of intersecting with, right? And so it's a lot of city dollars. There's city dollars going to police, there's city dollars going to our agencies, and there are pain points in where the city dollars kind of meet, right? And so how do we on the ground give that insight back to these systems so they are able to serve our young people, mostly young people of color, mostly young queer, LGBTQIA young people, indigenous young people that are suffering right now. So.
Thank you. Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay. I'm going to kind of take these in reverse order. Since you're a reappointment, I'm going to go ahead and move for your reappointment first. So I'll move for the approval of the reappointment of Joseph Sia as member Community Police Commission for a term to December 31st, 2021, otherwise known as appointment 01300.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There's nobody else to oppose. The ayes have it, and your reappointment will be considered on Monday, April 22nd at our full council meeting at 2 p.m. You are always welcome to join us in chambers, but you are not required to. Do I have to move to suspend the rules? 29th, April 29th.
Thank you.
I got the date wrong, sorry. Folks over here keep me honest. Okay, so April 29th. All right, so let's move on to Officer Mullins. We already heard a little bit of an introduction for Officer Mullins from Executive Director Lopez. And Officer Mullins, just wanted to give you a chance to share with us why you are interested in serving in the Community Police Commission and what you hope to be able to bring to the conversation.
Well, it's very simple. I've always believed that the police and the community should be one, seamless. When I worked in community policing, I learned that even more. I had to come out of patrol and started to work with the community police team, and I worked Beacon Hill. I was the Beacon Hill officer. And what I attempted to do was to empower people to basically police themselves, in that they were having problems with a lot of things in the area, mainly some problems with homelessness, some problems with people in the Greenbelt that were causing them problems, and a few apartment complexes that happened to be a little bit out of control. So basically, I said, this is your house, this is your community, this is your area where we are going to take control of, not I. I'm not going to I can't be there all the time. I can't see all the things that you see, so you've got to help me. So basically in that, I was able to form a union in which we could work with the landlords in the area, work on programs to help the people in the Greenbelt so that we could calm down some of the effects of some of the things that were going on in the area. And it worked pretty well. So I've learned early in my career that the police can't do their job without the community. And I've also learned that the community needs to be informed about the things that police do. Some tactics that we use, the community doesn't understand sometimes what happens. Sometimes police will come and take someone away, and people will be standing there going, what just happened? Why did they just yank that guy off the street? There has to be someone that lingers behind to say, is there any questions you guys might have about what just happened? Because sometimes we don't have time to explain. That's only one aspect of the reason why I want to be in this commission is I want to help to bridge that gap of understanding. If you just talk to people about what we do, sometimes that clears up a lot of things. That clears up a lot of situations that doesn't have to be a problem between police and the community. And we got some work to do. We understand that, and I'm going to help with that. But understanding, being here to be able to explain some of the things that we do, some of the tactics that we use, might help bridge that gap between police and the community. So I'm excited.
Great. And sort of in the inverse, I'd be interested in hearing how you think you can bring information from the non-sworn members of the commission back to the police department to share what you're hearing directly from community in this space. How do you think that bridge gets built in the other direction?
Well, I'm in SPOG. I'm a shop steward in SPOG, and I attend a lot of meetings. So I would be able to communicate with a lot of my fellow officers. And in South Precinct, I also have various ways and various meetings in which I meet with a lot of my officers to be able to get information out to them. So I believe I can start that way.
Great. Thank you. Councilmember Skid, any questions?
Well, thank you. Thanks so much for the overview of the work that you've done. I also note that the nomination came from Reverend Harriet Walden, and I wanted to talk a little bit about your work with the Mothers for Police Accountability and your ongoing efforts around these collaborations and how you see that informing your work today.
I know Reverend Reverend Harris from various community meetings that I've been to over the many years, but I haven't really worked with her organization. I've been very aware of them. I've been very aware of her organization and her presence. And a lot of times, maybe sometimes we don't see eye to eye, but I love her dearly, and I always thought that she was a great part of the community.
Great. Any other questions? Okay. There being no further questions, I will go ahead and move for this appointment as well, which is an appointment that is being advanced by the Community Police Commission. So this is appointment 01298. I will move appointment 01298, the appointment of Mark Mullins as member Community Police Commission for a term to December 31st, 2019.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. The ayes have it. This will also be considered at full council Monday, April 29th, 2019 at 2 p.m. Again, you are not required to attend, but you are welcome to attend if you wish to do so. Okay. Thank you. All righty, so moving right along, let's move over to the mayor's nomination for Community Police Commission. So we already heard a little bit about Esther, but maybe Esther, you can talk to us a little bit more about your interest in serving on the Community Police Commission and what you hope to be able to accomplish.
Sure. First, let me just say that it's an incredible privilege to have Mayor Durkin's confidence in my nomination today and to sit with two women that I respect so much. So thanks for having me. Yeah, I think that as we begin to think about kind of police reform and maybe thinking about more community police models, that healthcare is going to be a tremendous value when we have these discussions, and really thinking about how we can address the needs of our community holistically, with the police department being only one component. So I think the fact that we operate a 65-bed residential treatment program and the fact that we run an epidemiology center, we can do a couple of things. One is to really support the needs around addiction and addressing those challenges, and then also thinking about more community-guided data collection and evaluation efforts that can be really beneficial. I also think that the integrated model that we've developed at the Seattle Indian Health Board is called Indigenous Knowledge-Informed Systems of Care, is really a spin-off of trauma-informed systems of care because we recognize that we have as many strengths as we do challenges. And so I think that we as a city really need to think about the strengths that our community already has and build upon those strengths so that we can come together to create change.
That's great. Councilmember Mosqueda, any questions?
Well, I'd love to ask you. I'd love to ask you the first question that I started with. What does accountability look like to you, and how do you define that? What does it mean for you? Who are you accountable to?
And first, I'm accountable to the ancestors of this land, so let's just begin there. Also, as a Diné woman, our lineage is carried through our moms and our grandmothers, and so I'm accountable there. And as a CEO for a federally qualified health center, we serve all people, and that means that we serve all people in a native way. So our patient population typically stays between 65 and 70% American Indians, Alaska Natives, and we are now seeing increases in the number of African American folks we're serving, and I'm very proud of that. And I think all of that is changing and transforming because of the trust that we've invested in building in the last, I've been here almost 4 years now. I think I have a unique position in the fact that I hold quarterly community discussions where everybody is welcome, and my intention is to bring the information that comes from this commission out into the community and listen to them and bring their voices back. And so that's what accountability means to me.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. I really appreciate all of the work that you have been doing in our broader collective community. I don't mean to restrict that just to city limits, but I think that this particular perspective around the intersection between people experiencing homelessness and folks who struggle every day with substance use disorders is a really critical issue for the city right now. And I think that the Community Police Commission plays a really important role in making sure that our police department and that our accountability systems are acknowledging that intersection square on. And I think there's a great opportunity for us to make sure we are influencing those trauma-informed approaches through the community voice and the specific intersection of both the need for public safety services, but also the need for public safety services that aren't going to further traumatize communities that are currently experiencing trauma. So really value your perspective and your expertise in guiding those conversations amongst the Community Police Commission and the city as a whole. So thank you so much for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's it. No more questions here, so we'll go ahead and move this appointment as well. So I will move appointment 01295, the appointment of Esther Lucero as member, Community Police Commission for a term to December 31st, 2021.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and this appointment will also be considered by full council on Monday, April 29th, 2 p.m. Same spiel. You are welcome to attend, but you are not required to attend the full council meeting. All right, so let's move now to consideration of the nominations from my office and from the City Council as a whole. Really excited about each of these candidates. As it relates to Natasha and Karissa, I promise that we did check with Sean Good, their boss, about taking two people from Choose 180 to serve in this capacity, and really excited that Sean is very supportive of both of you participating on the Community Police Commission, because I think it's such an important perspective. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and start with Natasha, and you can just talk to us a little bit about your work and how and why you're interested in serving in the Community Police Commission and what you hope to be able to accomplish. And then I'm sure Councilmember Mosqueda might have some questions here as well. And I will say for the viewing audience and for the benefit of Councilmember Mosqueda that I did have an opportunity to spend some time with each one of the four nominees that we've put forward. I want to thank them all for coming into my office on a Saturday, which was the only time time I could find to do this, and I really appreciated all of your thoughtfulness in terms of our conversation and discussion about what you hope to be able to accomplish and your own lived experiences and how those are going to show up in this role. So really appreciate that. Natasha, kick us off.
Hello, thank you.
Hi.
So I grew up in Seattle, the Rainier Valley community, and I've seen what good policing looks like and what bad policing looks like. And when I was doing gang intervention work, working with at-risk youth, it wasn't until then I realized that the relationship between the police and the community was broken. And I did that for 5 years, and now I'm at an organization called Choose 180, and we offer programs to keep youth and young adults out of the justice system and keep them in school. And so through the experience that I've had with that, working with people of power within the system, and also working with families and youth in the community, I feel like the experience I have will be an asset to the commission.
And is there anything in particular you hope to be able to work on as part of the Community Police Commission?
Well, I think the first thing is, kind of mending the relationship between the community and the police, because I feel like there are some very powerful people in the community that, want to act on certain things, but they don't know how to really go about it. And, they're kind of scared because of the things that have happened in the past. And then just holding the police accountable for how they deal with our people.
Great. Councilmember Mosqueda, any questions?
No,
Your mic's. That's all right.
Sorry, I had to sneeze. With all of your work with the youth in the past, do you have any other comments about accountability and what that looks like, even though, we have our community at large that we want to be accountable to? Staying accountable to the youth is often something I really think we need to continue to lift up. Is that part of what you determine as who you're accountable to?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, it's just not the police. I think people in the community need to know that they have a voice as well. And some people need to step up because, the commission is great, but it's going to take a larger group of people to really come up with solutions, long-term solutions that are going to, positively affect the systems.
Great. Any follow-up? Excellent. Okay, thank you so much, Natasha. I really appreciate, again, your perspective, particularly working with youth populations. I think is a really important voice that the Community Police Commission has expressed to us. They're really interested in hearing more from that voice, and have huge respect for the work that you've done and huge respect for the work that Choose 180 does. So I'm really excited to have you join the CPC as well. So thank you for accepting the nomination and being willing to serve.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so next up, we will hear from Brandy. Brandy, you want to introduce yourself again to us in your own words, and then let us know why you are interested in the Community Police Commission and what you might want to focus on.
Absolutely. So my name is Brandy Grant. I work for the Alliance for Gun Responsibility Foundation. I am originally from the state of Oklahoma, a Southwestern girl, and the reason why I wanted to apply for the Community Police Commission is two reasons. Partially, it's personal, but it's mainly professional as well. I'm raising a wonderful son. He's 13 years old, and the way that he presents to the world, I have to use the platform that I have and the resources to make sure that he's able to navigate through this world safely, and know that he is the king that he is, and be able to use his voice. So I have to be able to model that for him.
And remind us, how tall is your son?
He's 6'4". He's 13 years old.
13.
Yes. Wow. But, mothers, parents, when you look at him, you can tell he's a baby. But the professional side of things is I've worked in community engagement and mental health for over 15 years. And where I come from, community is family, right? Community is family. They're aunties, they're uncles, they're cousins, in the metaphorical sense and sometimes in the relational sense. And I hope to be able to bring that to the Community Police Commission by helping bridge that gap between the community stakeholders, the real unsung heroes that are in the communities, people like Reverend Walden, people that she's, people that have modeled themselves after her, just to make sure that we're being able to have a seat at the table. I've been in great company since I've been here 5 years ago. I've been in the likes of organizations like Choose 180, Community Passageways, and obviously my organization, who has made a concentrated effort to make sure that they're showing up for impacted communities in a way that they may not have in the past. And so collectively, we wanted to make sure that we do that. And so when we're putting together initiatives and policies and bills and agendas, we want to make sure that we're having the people that are the most impacted represented in that language when we're passing those bills and those laws. So that's why I'm here. I just want to be a part of what makes the most sense to keep our family safe, right? Because community is family.
Yeah. Thank you, Brandy. And one of the things that I think is really impressive about the work that you've been doing since you've been here is around gun safety and addressing gun-based violence within our communities. And we unfortunately know the statistics all too well, that it is communities of color, low-income communities, who are the ones who are most disproportionately and negatively impacted by gun violence. And having that really strong sense and set of experience around what it means to collaborate with law enforcement, with community, with harm reduction, public health advocates and experts to really take care of our community in that way is, I think, a really important perspective to bring to the Community Police Commission, and hope to be able to hear more from you through the Community Police Commission on how we can really center that importance of public safety that is safe and feels comfortable for all communities as part of how we do policing here in the city.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for the honor.
Thank you. Councilmember Mosqueda, any questions?
That's great.
Yeah. Very impressive slate over here. Not that the other ones aren't impressive. Okay, so we will go ahead and move along to our next nominee. So we will go ahead and hear now from Karissa.
Hey.
Hi. Hard acts to follow, huh?
Seriously. So same question, I'm assuming.
Yeah, okay. Same question. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to serve on the CPC, and if there's anything in particular that you would really be excited to focus on, would love to hear that as well.
Great, thank you. So I'm Karissa. I, for the last several years, have been working with people who've been highly impacted by policing and the criminal legal system at large, starting with foster youth and then working with young adults experiencing homelessness for a number of years, and then working with youth who had gang affiliations, and now working with youth who are facing their first felony charge. And I think that largely why I initially wanted to join this commission was to bring and amplify their voices. I'm constantly asking the young people that I work with what they think justice looks like, what could have happened in that situation that would have held them accountable but still felt just, what kind of system could they imagine without the one that we currently have. And I hear so many remarkable answers and so much wisdom from them, and I would love to be able to bring that forward. In terms of kind of specifically what I'd be excited to work on would be to kind of take the non-formal way of me asking them, when they're sitting in my car, to making that more formal, and doing community roundtables specifically with young people who are so highly impacted by policing and the justice system, and being able to empower them and amplify their voices, both, one, because I think their voices need to be heard, and I think that they have that wisdom, but also because I think that that would increase civic engagement for communities that are often underrepresented, and to be able to really have them feel empowered in that process.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Mosqueda, any questions or follow-up?
You guys are all so impressive. I'm just really excited. One of the questions I had to ask was around intersectionality, and every one of you have brought up intersectionality in your opening comments, so I don't have any other comments or questions.
Excellent. This is a good sign for you all. Okay, and last but certainly not least is Alina. So Alina, you want to share with us a little bit about yourself from your perspective and why you want to be on the CPC, and if there's anything you're particularly excited about working on.
Yeah, for
Feel
sure.
free to share that with us.
Thank you for having me. My name is Alina Cynthia. I use both pronouns he, him, and she, her. I'm a proud Latinx, queer, non-binary person of color. That is a major reason on why I decided to join the Community Police Commission. I'm very focused on how are we centering and elevating the voices of communities who are historically left out of tables like this, left out of spaces like this, making sure that the communities who have generational and historic trauma that has been perpetuated by state violence in our communities, that those voices are elevated and centered. Another piece of that too, though, is, in my work, I'm the director of racial equity for a coalition of organizations on Seattle Center's campus that are rooted in arts. So theater, music, dance. How are we using those as forms of social justice? And one of the things in that work is how are we making sure that both sides feel heard? I believe that when you provide people opportunities to be better at their jobs. And thank you, Officer Mullins, for being here. I think it is a brave space to be in, especially with the current political climate. I want to also make sure that acknowledging the power dynamic that exists in communities who are most impacted by state violence are heard and elevated, and acknowledging that power dynamic, and also making sure that police officers who also have families who are also carrying generational trauma and maybe present trauma in their bodies, that they also feel heard. I think people want to be listened to and created space for, and I think that that's an important part in healing and bridging community.
Thank you. Any follow-up for Alina?
So one of the things I was excited about in your summary was the work that you've done with the Black Prisoners Caucus. And can you talk a little bit about any takeaways you have from that experience and how that might inform some of the work that you're hoping to lift up on the CPC?
Yeah, what's interesting is that I've been working with folks who have already had interactions with the police department and acknowledging how slavery in this country has turned into mass incarceration and how that has impacted the Black community, Indigenous community, communities of color, looking at the population of specifically Black and Latina women who are mothers who are in prison. I didn't have a personal connection to that and knowing someone who was incarcerated until someone provided me that opportunity and honestly the honor to go and meet with folks who are experiencing that incarceration. And I learned so much from that experience. Part of the work and how that intersects with the work that I'm doing in Black Prisoners Caucus is how are we using art as a form of social justice to make sure that our young people don't end up in places like that we're addressing systemic issues as well, that it's not a Band-Aid issue or a Band-Aid fix that we're putting on issues, but really centering and uplifting a population that people forget about. Unless you have a direct experience with someone who is incarcerated or you've been incarcerated with yourself, we're not having that conversation with those communities. It is a privilege to be on the outside, and I carry that responsibility and that weight, and I'm also looking forward to bringing those voices to the table too. Thank you.
Great. Alina, and I think you really bring a strong perspective and a set of experiences around restorative justice in general, and I think that's also an important part of the work that the city does as a whole, but that I know is really important to communities who are dealing with trauma and negative experiences. And restorative justice is good for the entire ecosystem, right? Folks like Officer Mullins, who we really respect and appreciate providing critical public safety services to members of our community, but also people who feel like sometimes it doesn't always happen the way that they'd like for it to happen, right? And so I think those concepts are super important. Really appreciate your willingness to bring that expertise to the Community Police Commission, and really looking forward to seeing how you advance that conversation. So thank you for your willingness to serve as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so we will move this appointment, all of the 4 appointments. So we will do, I will move appointment 01294, 01296, 01297, and 01299, and that's the appointments of Brandy Grant, Natasha Moore, Karissa Morikawa, and Alina Cynthia as members of the Community Police Commission for a term to December 31st, 2019, and in some instances, December 31st, 2021.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion?
Enthusiastic second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. These confirmations will be considered at full council Monday, April 29th, 2 p.m. here in council chambers. Again, not required to attend, but you're welcome to come. I'll just end by saying one last thank you to all of you for your willingness to serve on the Community Police Commission as it relates to the nominations coming out of my office. We're really clear with each of you what the level of commitment would be, and we squarely focused on individuals who we believed would receive organizational professional support to be able to show up and fully participate in the activities and the work of the Community Police Commission. And in large part, that is because this, in my mind, is one of the most important and most powerful commissions in the city of Seattle as an organization. And so I think it's really important to make sure that we have commissioners who are going to be 110% dedicated to this body of work, because it is a lot of work. And really appreciate the collaboration with both the Community Police Commission and the Mayor's Office on identifying additional folks and being able to present this wonderful slate of individuals. I understand that your first meeting will be on May 1st. So I'm very excited about that. Probably not as excited as the current commissioners and staff over at CPC, but really want to acknowledge your all's willingness to serve, and also really want to acknowledge and pay respect to the work that you do outside of City Hall and outside of the Community Police Commission. Each of you do a tremendous service for the people of our city, so thank you so much for that. And then lastly, I'll just thank Cody Ryder from my office for helping me do all the scouting and coordinating and finding each one of you. And then I'd like to thank Kyla Blair from the mayor's office for helping us out with the mayor's appointments as well. So thank you so much. You are free to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. See you guys later. Bye. Bye. Huh? Agenda item 8. All right. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we are going to do a quick little switcheroo here. Thank you all who are viewing for your patience. Really appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and move to our next agenda item, which is agenda item 8. And I will go ahead and invite our presenters to join us at the table if you're here to present on this particular bill. And then meanwhile, I will have Roxana read agenda item 8 into the record. And Roxana, feel free to read the short title.
Council Bill 119480, an ordinance relating to the 2018 Families Education Preschool and Promise Levy, approving an implementation and evaluation plan as required by Ordinance 125604 for briefing and discussion and possible vote.
Thank you so much. Why don't we go ahead and do some introductions, and then I will hand it over.
Nguyen, Office of Councilmember Lorena Gonzalez.
Brian Goodnight, Council Central Staff.
Ali Panucci, Council Central Staff.
Great. Brian and Ali, you want to kick us off?
Sure, thank you. So at the committee's previous meeting on March 27th, the committee discussed potential issues and amendments related to the Families Education Preschool and Promise Levy, what we refer to as the FEP levy, to its implementation and evaluation plan, and so that we're calling the I&E plan. Following that meeting, Ali and I worked with council members to prepare requested amendments. And then at the direction of Committee Chair Gonzalez, the 9 amendments that have been prepared have all been consolidated into a single proposed substitute I&E plan. That substitute I&E plan can be found, it's attached to the memorandum in the materials as attachment 1, and it is shown with markups and those are provided in red and green text and underlines and strikeouts, so for your convenience. And if there's no questions, we'll just move right into.
No questions. And so just as a reminder, Councilmember Mosqueda, what I have asked Council Central staff to do is present this in a consensus package. As we are moving along, if there is a particular amendment that is of concern to you, you are welcome to request that that be pulled out for individual consideration. Otherwise, we will vote on the amendments as one full consensus package after Brian and Allie have reviewed them. Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so amendment number 1 would expand the overall outcome for the FEP levy to incorporate additional groups of prioritized students. The amendment would make the list of prioritized groups consistent with the levy ordinance that the council passed in 2018. And it's shown up there on the screen, but the amendment would add essentially 4 additional prioritized groups to the list. It would add refugee and immigrant, homeless, English language learners, and LGBTQ students. The amendment would also make the same modification in a few other places in the plan where the same list shows up. And specifically, that occurs in sections that are related to the intended recipients of K through 12 investments, and also for the prioritization process for Seattle Promise tuition funds. And just one quick note while we're on slide number 1 here. In the blue ribbon at the bottom of the screen, you can see a list of page numbers. So these page numbers represent all of the pages in the plan in the proposed substitute I&E plan document that have been amended, that have changes for this amendment. There are some page numbers that are shown in bold and that have an underline on them, and those are the ones that they have either the most detailed or like the most representative change. So if there's one page you want to look at for each of these amendments, you'd want to look at the one that's bolded and underlined. So.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments about this amendment? All right, let's proceed.
Thanks. So amendment number 2 would expand the K through 12 school and community-based investment area goal to incorporate levy strategies and activities that are beyond the scope of college and job readiness experiences. So it adds 3 more elements to the goal. As shown on the screen, with the proposed amendments, the goal would read, Seattle students have access to and utilize increased academic preparation, expanded learning opportunities, social emotional skill building, and college and job readiness experiences that promote high school graduation.
Great, and this is another edit that is in line with the original ordinance that the City Council advanced to the ballot for voter consideration in November of 2018, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and this change is, in my mind, really important because although we want to make sure that each graduate from the K through 12 system is ready for college or job readiness, we also want to acknowledge that there is much more to learning than just college and job readiness, and that includes the other aspects of the amendment that are included here. So I really wanted to make sure that we allowed the Department of Education and Early Learning and our partners the opportunity to also center their work in these spaces as well. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any concerns or questions,
I
Kylie?
think it's an excellent addition. Appreciate you broadening out the scope in which we're focusing on here and recognizing how important it is to have the social emotional skill building as a component of this work. So thank you.
Great. All right. Amendment 3.
Okay. Amendment 3 will add a new section to the plan that identifies modifications to the plan in the future that will require approval by council via ordinance, require written notification by deal to the council, and identifies topics or programs for inclusion in regular reporting by deal. The plan as proposed by the executive contains language that would allow deal to modify program elements without council approval during the 7-year term of the levy. This amendment clarifies where council would retain control and also where they wouldn't. So in certain cases, there is a request that certain changes would require approval by the city council by ordinance. This includes changing the funding level, tuition requirements for the Promise program, tuition requirements for the preschool program, and other modifications to the eligibility requirement for the Promise program. And then it also identifies some components that require a 60-day notification to council, things like modifying the SPP's child selection prioritization. This 60-day notification period is intended to give council advance warning that that deal intends to change the implementation plan, and in most cases should provide adequate time for the council to consider whether or not they're comfortable with that change and if they want to take legislative action to modify it in a different way. In addition, this amendment adds specificity to topics council expects to be included in regular reporting. So DEAL will be preparing an annual report. The companion resolution to the ordinance for the levy requested that that report be delivered to the council annually. And in addition to general reporting, this adds a list of very specific requirements on things like detailed information on participants and the benefits of the Seattle Promise program.
Great. Any questions? Any concerns? Okay. This section, I will say that this particular amendment brings the implementation and evaluation plan language more in alignment with what council's role has been as it relates to these levy investments, and felt that it was really important to City Council's ongoing function as an oversight entity, as the legislative branch, to make sure that we communicated very clearly our expectations around what we believe the department has full flexibility around modifying, and what are some things that we aren't quite comfortable losing oversight of. And so really appreciate the willingness to incorporate these three different categories: a requiring approval, a notification for potential of approval, and lastly, the category around making sure that we at least receive some annual reporting for purposes of transparency and accountability. So really happy to incorporate this amendment back into the implementation evaluation plan. Right. Let's move on. Amendment 4.
Okay. Amendment number 4 would revise the tuition sliding fee scale for the Seattle Preschool program for SPP. As a quick reminder, the fee scale will be used for those families that participating in SPP that have incomes above 350% of the federal poverty level. And the scale determines the tuition amounts that each of the families are responsible for paying. So this amendment would make a few changes to the scale in the I&E plan. First, it would base family tuition amounts on a percentage contribution to the cost of a preschool slot. And this percentage contribution increases along with increases in family income. So on the side, you can see this is a very abbreviated table, similar to the one that is included in the appendix of the plan. So we're just showing the first 2 step rows here and then the last 2 step rows. So that's just the top and the bottom of the scale. But for step 1, you can see that a family that's making 351% of the federal poverty level would be responsible for contributing 8% of the preschool slot cost. And just for context, in the 2019-2020 school year, the slot cost is estimated to be $11,000. So if you did 8% of $11,000, you'd get to the annual tuition of $880.
Which works out to be $88 per month.
Right, for a 10-month school year. That's right. So the second change that the amendment would make, it would set the minimum tuition subsidy at 5%. And so this means that every family in the program would receive at least a 5% subsidy off the cost of the preschool slot. So this can be seen in the final row of the table and for step level 30. And a family at that level of income, or any income above that, and just for context, the 728%, that's about $187,000 a year. They'd be required to contribute 95% of the slot cost. So the estimate for the 2019-2020 school year would be $10,450 for the annual cost. This is also consistent with SPP's current tuition scale and would maintain the program's policy of providing at least some level of subsidy to all participating families. And then lastly, the amendment would increase the number of steps in the scale from 25 to 30. So as proposed, it had 25 steps. As you can see, we go up to 30 on this one. And that essentially has the effect of reducing the tuition growth between the steps as you work your way up the scale.
Great. Any questions or comments?
No concerns.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks. Amendment number 5 would add a sentence to the Seattle Promise section of the plan describing an existing option for students to attend school temporarily on a part-time basis. So the Promise program, as it's currently set up, requires full-time attendance, but students are able to request an exception to that requirement on a quarter-by-quarter basis under limited circumstances. And some of those circumstances are demonstrating that there's a substantial a substantial hardship to attending full-time, or being able to unable to enroll full-time due to limited course offerings that are available.
Councilmember Mosqueda?
Just a question on this. So thank you for this amendment, Madam Chair. So prior to the inclusion of this amendment, if there was a situation where a Promise student needed to be available to work part-time and couldn't go to school full-time, if they needed to attend to family obligations or take care of a loved one who was on family leave or something, they wouldn't have been able to participate in the Promise program. And so you're creating the opportunities here to make sure that there's flexibility built in.
Go ahead.
It is a current practice that they are allowed to do it. The plan just didn't make that clear. So if
Got
you
it.
just read through the implementation plan, it appeared as though the only option was to attend full-time. So this is simply recognizing this appeals process, which does currently exist.
Well, I just want to call out how important it is that I think you've included this in the final proposal that we're considering today. A lot of times, especially for women and communities of color and folks in more vulnerable situations, if it doesn't expressly allow for certain activities, then many of us make the assumption that we shouldn't apply or that we wouldn't be eligible and that it's not going to fit our daily needs. So I think this is a great addition, especially to make sure that the target population of women, people of color, members of the LGBTQ community, that folks really feel like if there's something that comes up where they may have taken themselves out of the mix in the past, that they clearly see that there's flexibility. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had, at prior committee hearings, heard some pretty interesting data around the percentage of students graduating from public schools who enter into Seattle colleges but do so only in a part-time status. And the number, remind me, Brian and Allie, is
43%?
About 43% of the graduates from Seattle Public Schools that go to Seattle colleges attend Seattle colleges on a part-time basis. And really appreciated the information that we received from Seattle colleges that in practice, they are absolutely desiring to be flexible and making sure that part-time students can be accommodated, and wanted to make it real firm and clear by putting it in the actual implementation evaluation plan to ensure continuation of that practice.
Excellent. Thank you.
Great. All right. Next amendment.
Okay.
Amendment number 6 would insert a new paragraph into the Seattle Promise Investment Area section, specifying certain additional topics for DEAL to include in its racial equity toolkit analysis of the Seattle Promise program. So the amendment would require the analysis to include an evaluation of two things. First being program expansion to students wishing to enroll in the Promise program on an exclusively part-time basis. So the one that we just discussed was kind of temporary part-time basis. So this would have them look at it for students that want to attend exclusively at part-time. And the second part of that is the impact of the satisfactory academic progress requirements that are applicable to students that receive some type of financial aid. So that would have them include that in the racial equity toolkit as well. And then consistent with the other requirements that were described by Allie for amendment number 3, the amendment would require DEAL to seek the recommendation of the Levy Oversight Committee prior to proposing any policy changes that stem from the racial equity toolkit analysis.
Any questions?
No, excellent.
And this is just another one of those areas where, because the Seattle Promise program is a new formal to much bigger scale program than our 13, 14-year scholarship program, we wanted to make sure that we were approaching the funding and the structure and the model of Seattle Promise in a way that wasn't going to result in unintended consequences, particularly because it's a, what's the phrase, for last dollar in program, which means that those who have the greatest need will receive the least amount in terms of direct tuition assistance, even though they will also be supported through the equity scholarship, which provides the much needed assistance around being able to pay lab fees and books and all of those things. And so this is our intent to make sure that the racial equity toolkit analysis will help us identify any unintended consequences should they begin to happen. Great. Next amendment.
Great. Amendment 7 would provide additional specificity regarding the types of referral and connection services that would be provided to students by Seattle College advisors to support students' lives outside of college. The plan as proposed notes that students will have access to non-levy funded supports to prepare for life beyond college, but doesn't really describe the range of programs and services that may be applicable. So this amendment adds some of that specificity at a somewhat high level in recognition that program names and types of services get changed and expanded over time, but also asks that DEAL work with Seattle colleges to develop and maintain a list of resources so advisors have that at their disposal. And then this also connects with Amendment 3 in terms of the annual reporting and asks that they be tracking the referrals they're making and how successful students are in obtaining those services. And it relates in another way to Amendment 3 in terms of reporting back on any success Deal has at trying to streamline application for at least city services that are provided so that people aren't having to apply to in 15 different places for, different types of services like childcare or food supports and housing and that sort of thing.
Great. Any questions?
I want to replicate this in almost everything we look at. So there's auto enrollment and streamlined enrollment. Thank you for this.
Great. Next amendment.
Okay, amendment number 8 would add a labor harmony component to the list of methods that Deal will use to evaluate RFP and RFI responses. So the plan as it's currently drafted states that Deal will consider the responders' past success at achieving results, the commitment of leadership to improving outcomes, the means and methods proposed, and of course the cost of the proposal. And then this amendment would add the phrase adherence to labor laws and a commitment to labor harmony to the list of the evaluation methods.
Excellent. And I know this is an amendment that our offices worked on together, and happy to provide you an opportunity to speak to it.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. First, I want to thank you for your office's engagement with us as we crafted amendment to the legislation. This is really exciting to make sure that our city dollars are being really invested in the providers and organizations who are providing best practices in terms of our labor policies, and that our city dollars go to fund those organizations that support and versus oppose a workers' collective voice. I think part of what Councilmember Gonzalez and I have continued to bring to the conversation is that when workers do well, everyone does better. Our kiddos do better, our communities do better when we invest in things like secure scheduling like you led on and minimum wage. These are things that are baseline investments in workers, and we want to continue to make sure that when we have the opportunity to hold the purse and invest in strong priorities, that we're really putting forward what is best for the public. And in this case, labor unions, collective worker action is very much is an opportunity for us to show that we have a high value that we associate with labor protections and higher labor standards. We know that labor unions and collective worker action has led to things like safer workplaces, banning child labor, having the ability to have a weekend, having labor laws that at least led us to have a minimum wage, and also
not losing an arm
or
a
losing
hand.
an arm or fingers. Yes, and as it relates to education, many of our providers are out on the line, putting their lives on the line to fight for smaller class sizes, for example. So we're really proud of the work that they've done with us in partnership. And I think especially in a post-Janus world, the national attacks, the national dialogue against unions, this gives us an important opportunity to show that we stand with workers and we stand with our commitment to basic labor protections. So again, I applaud you. I applaud, also we should note the mayor's negotiations that she did on the memorandum of understanding with our Coalition for City Unions to show what it looks like to be a good employer and to work in a post-Janus world to create more opportunities so that workers can continue to have a collective voice. That's, I think, a great example of us leading by example as an employer. So with that, I'm excited to put this forward to make sure that we continue to see worker standards lifted up. And let's not forget, this is also a good investment. There's a higher return on our investment when we have higher unionization rates and stronger worker protections in our community. People are healthier, longer retention, less turnover, and excited to see this included. So thank you for your ongoing work on this.
Absolutely, thank you. I think I really want to make clear that this is really intended and designed to signal to our partners who we do work with that we do value their relationships with labor unions who provide these critical services to our children, and want to continue in the tradition, not just of signaling that value, but also of addressing sort of the practicalities around what happens when we're providing city taxpayer dollars to funding a lot of these programs, and it's our expectation that those services continue to be provided. And lastly, I'll just say that this language is not intended to inject ourselves as a city into the labor relationship that exists between employers and their employees and in that collective bargaining agreement relationship. So just want to make really clear to our partners in this work that it's not the city's intent to inject ourselves as a third party in that good faith labor relationship and in those good faith labor negotiations. This is really more about making sure that those partners that do have labor unions are understanding that we value that relationship with labor unions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Okay. Excellent. Next one.
So number 9 is the final amendment, and it would simply make some technical corrections to the I&E plan. And so the technical corrections fall essentially into 4 groups. First, it would insert the word fees into the list of eligible uses for the Seattle Promise Equity Scholarship. Fees are something that Deal has been considering as an eligible expense for the scholarship, and it's shown up in some other materials that have been produced, but this just makes it explicit within the plan itself. Second, it would correct page numbers, both in the table of contents and in appendix number 2. Third, it would correct the procurement terminology for public health. So right now, the plan states that public health uses RFIs, and they actually use a different process called an RFA, a request for applications. So it just makes that correction. And then fourth, it corrects a couple typographical errors in a couple pages. And that is it.
Great. Excellent. Any other questions for Brian or Allie?
How long have you been working on this? Today's a culmination of how much time? The audience chuckles.
I think we started this in, was it 2017? Yeah, early 2017.
Very
so
exciting.
It's been a while to get here, so I'm very excited about that.
Well, congratulations on the cusp of a vote.
Thanks. And that seems like a good segue
All
to
right.
actually do the vote. So I will, do I just move this as one whole amendment, or do I do amendments 1 through 9?
I think you can just move it as a substitute I&E plan. It's version 3 is the substitute.
Oh, boy. That is not the language that I was given. I will make it up on the fly. Okay. I move to, wait, don't I have to approve the amendments first? No?
You first, it's basically one amendment. You're approving the substitute, and then you'll approve the bill as amendment, or the plan as amended.
Okay. I move for the adoption and approval of version 3 of Council Bill 119480, which is a substitute for version 2. Did I say that wrong?
Yes. We're not amending the bill, we're amending attachment 1 to the bill.
Okay.
So attachment 1 to the bill, the proposed substitute is version 3.
Brian, why don't you make the motion?
Or Allie, do you want to?
Say the sentence, and I will say so moved.
So you would move to amend attachment 1 to the bill as shown in the substitute version 3.
Of Council Bill 119480.
Yes.
That's my motion.
I second that motion.
Excellent. Any further discussion?
Really like what you've done to attachment 1 to
Thank
substitute
you.
version
Thank you.
3.
All right. Discussion being over. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? None opposed. Motion passes. Now I will move to recommend that the full council adopt Council Bill 119480
As amended.
as amended.
I second that.
Any further discussion?
None.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. The ayes have it. Council Bill 119480 as amended will be considered by full council on Monday, April 22nd, 2019.
Chair, just one point of order. You will need to move to suspend the rules to refer the.
We're going to do that later after the 2 resolutions.
Oh, do them.
We're going
all
to do them as a
together.
package.
Okay, got it.
But just so you all know, it will be on April 22nd. We're just going to move them all as a package at the end. Okay. That is very exciting. I'm so excited about it. And I'll make some final remarks about the whole thing once we have more folks at the table. Okay, let's move on to the next agenda item. And if you are here to present on agenda item 9, and 10, I'd invite you to join us at the table.
Should I say two, or should I? Yeah.
Agenda item 9, Resolution 31881, a resolution relating to the 2018 Families Education Preschool and Promise Levy, approving a partnership agreement between the City of Seattle and the Seattle College District for briefing, discussion, and possible vote. And agenda item 10, Resolution 31882, a resolution relating to the 2018 Families Education Preschool and Promise Levy, approving a partnership agreement between the City of Seattle and the Seattle School District Number 1 for briefing, discussion, and possible vote.
Excellent. All right. I think everybody has their name tags, except for Brian and V. We know who you are. Okay. We know who you all are too. We just wanted to make sure that the viewing public could see your names as well. All right, so let's go ahead and do a quick round of introductions, and then am I going to hand it back over to you, Brian, or am I heading over to Director Chappelle?
Director Chappelle, yeah.
All right.
V. Nguyen, Office of Councilmember Lorena Gonzalez.
Brian Goodnight, Council Central Staff.
Dwayne Chappelle, Department of Education and Early Learning.
Denise Juneau, Superintendent of Seattle Public Schools.
Sheila Edwards-Lang, President of Seattle Central College.
Afternoon, Sean Penn, Chancellor of Seattle Colleges.
Diane DeBacker, Chief Academic Officer, Seattle Public Schools.
And Chris Alejano, Mayor's Policy Office.
Great. Thank you all so much for being with us this afternoon. Really appreciate the ongoing partnership and work. It has taken us all collectively a long time to get to this point where we are considering resolutions that would approve the partnership agreements between the City of Seattle and Seattle College District and the Seattle School District, and want to make sure that the viewing public also knows that both as it relates to the previous council bill, which approved the implementation and evaluation plan, and these two partnership agreements, that the FEP Levy Oversight Committee has reviewed all of these materials and issued their consensus with regard to a recommendation for City Council to approve all of the above. So really excited to have you all here. Thank you so much for your willingness to join us this afternoon and for your willingness to continue on in this partnership. So with that being said, Director Chappelle, take it away.
Okay. Thank you for the introduction. And we are here today with our, we being Deal, we're here today with our amazing partners, Superintendent Juneau, Dr. Lang, President of Central, Chancellor Pan, President of the college, and Dr. Diane DeBacker. And so what we're going to be doing today is really just sharing some highlights of our partnership agreement. And what you see up here, just really our presentation outline of what we'll be going through. So ultimately, just want to kick it off and just really tell you what the purpose of the partnership agreements ideally is for us to have outlines and define roles and responsibilities for each of our partners, and our partners being Seattle Public Schools and the colleges as well. So those are the two that we'll be speaking to when I talk about the partnership agreements shortly. As you mentioned earlier, so here is a brief timeline of the history of the partnership agreement. So it actually started back in 1990 before any of us were born, and but it's bringing us here to today, where we have a new partnership agreement. So historically, it's been Deal or the City of Seattle with Seattle Public Schools, but now with the new addition to the Seattle Promise, we have another amazing partner at the table, which is our colleges. So as you just kind of take a glance at the timeline, really just wanted to share with you all. I won't go through all of the bullets, but I will start at or should I say end at the last bullet of where we are now, which it says April 2019. And I wanted to thank Superintendent Juneau and Seattle Public Schools for last night. Their board voted to approve the partnership agreement, which is now bringing us here today in front of you. So wanted to thank you with that, and really dive a little into some of the ordinance text you mentioned earlier. So based on the ordinance, we are required to develop a partnership agreement that, as I mentioned earlier, will establish the roles and responsibilities of each entity. And we're really just talking about how we're going to achieve our desired outcome. And what the ordinance also mentions is that the proceeds that may be only leveraged to support the Seattle Schools District and the Seattle College's programs or functions with the existence of the current partnership agreement. A little, what I also want to share with you is, as in the partnership agreement, we have sections, and a few sections that we just wanted to really just share with you now really are, we'll start off with section 2 of the partnership agreement. And in section 2 of the partnership agreement, really, it just highlights the commonalities between both colleges and Seattle Public Schools partnership. And so I'll just go through a few of them, some of our commonalities. One is that we all are intending to invest in our Seattle children and students and families and communities who have been historically underserved. We all plan to use data-driven and outcomes-based decision-making. And we all plan on implementing evidence-based strategies or promising practices to achieve these goals. And we all want to make sure that we're providing access to building capacity or opportunities with our partner organizations, basically to improve quality and quality, infrastructure, and instruction, and so forth. And as you know, as mentioned earlier, the LOC, which you are a member of, actually shaped and the initial investment in priorities and principles that are established in the ordinance. And so just wanted you to know that we all are committed to investing and implementing these funds as recommended by the LOC and ordinance. So what I'll do now is ask Superintendent Juneau to speak to Section 9 a little bit of the partnership agreement.
Great. Well, thank you, and thanks for all of the hard work that's gone into this. I really have to commend DEAL for their strong partnership and the work that their staff and our staff have done together to make sure that we get to this point. So super appreciative of the continued partnership with the city on these efforts. As Dwayne said last night, our school board unanimously voted to approve the partnership agreement, and so I know that they are looking forward to growing this as well and making sure that we're making the investments in the correct place. And I think that really speaks highly of the work that's been done in the past, that there's some trust being built there, that the governments are looking to work with each other, and that we are all in on making sure that we're all doing the work that needs to happen on behalf of Seattle's youth. And of course, moving into Promise is going to be a great benefit as well. This, as you all know, we are looking forward to continuing to building on our high quality preschool programs that are located in our Seattle Public Schools. They've been, the idea that we can create those types of programs right within our schools for the transitions to kindergarten so they're ready to learn when they step into our K-12 system has been really strong. The K-12 investments in the past have been really helpful, particularly the investments that have been made at the middle schools of Aki-Karosi, Asa Mercer, and Denny International. Those schools, as a result of the partnership, have become award-winning gap-closing schools, and so that's been really important to our district as well. And family support workers and the wraparound supports that have been put into place have really been helpful to families and students in our system. And as you may be aware, our district also just recently adopted a new strategic plan for the district, and looking forward and putting our efforts in writing on the correct priorities. And a lot of that is around making sure that we are including students and families and communities of color, bringing them to the table, making sure they have a voice, focusing specifically and intentionally on students of color furthest from educational justice with an intentional focus on African American males. And I think partnerships like the one that we have here with the city really is going to help us move that dial. So I'm looking forward to continuing those efforts and making sure we do everything that we can so every student in our system is successful. And of course, that goes right into the Seattle Promise and the potential of that to create a workforce. I mean, we have the potential now for every Seattle Public School student to step out as a prepared graduate, stepping into either to get a college degree or a work credential, and that is super powerful for this city. And I think the great things that can come out of that, doing it with the city and making sure that we're moving forward together, is going to be a really strong partnership. It's unlike anything I've seen in the country, actually, going forward. The idea that we can create a pre-K to college seamless system that is in partnership with everybody sitting at this table is super powerful. So I just want to thank you all for your leadership and the partnership going forward.
Thank you, Superintendent. Really appreciate those remarks and your perspective. And you know, I've been really pleased and inspired by this work as a person who graduated from public schools myself, not the Seattle Public Schools, but public school nonetheless, and have really appreciated the opportunity to continue to build on a good relationship with Seattle Public School District. And that has been in large part because of you and your staff and your willingness to continue to engage with us. And I just want to thank you for your willingness to continue to build this relationship for the benefit of our youth. Thank you.
So next up, we'll ask Dr. Pond or Chancellor Pond and Dr. Sheila Lang to, they'll be sharing a little bit more about what Section 9 is in the partnership agreement for them as well.
Great.
Great. Thank you. Good afternoon. This partnership, in my mind, is really very historic. City Seattle colleges have always had great relation, but this takes up to a different level, different notch. This partnership is really about, in fact, the thrust of it and our mission really jives very well. It's about getting local youth coming to Seattle colleges to prepare academically for jobs, for career, for transfer, for completion. So we're preparing local youth for Seattle jobs. And that's the vision of the city, the mayor, and our staff. The last year and a half, we've been working hard, many meetings, many great conversations, sometimes difficult conversation, but it's great to be here. I want to take a moment to thank the City Council, the mayor, particularly you and Councilwoman Gonzalez and Rob Johnson. Your leadership instrumental to get us here. We at the Seattle colleges are very excited, fully committed to do what we can to make sure local youth, regardless of their academic background, academic preparation, have a good chance, all of them, to come to Seattle colleges through this program, or people not in the program, frankly, to have a very good chance to get a college credential so they can transfer, they can get a job or get a certification. The content of the partnership is the wisdom work of many people. I want to again thank Dwayne Chappelle. The DO staff has been wonderful, including the City Council staff has given a lot of great feedback, and the mayor's office and Chris himself has been instrumental in getting us here. We are very excited, committed again to do everything we can to take the lessons we learned from the 13-year scholarship, but also national best practices to do what we can. Our strategic priorities, our new mission, vision, value, again, integrates with this very well. President Sheila Edwards Lang has been very instrumental serving this group. Let me turn it over to Sheila to ask additional comments.
Thank you. I also want to thank you for your leadership. It has been a long haul getting to this day, and hopefully on Monday we will be able to have the full council pass this, but you have just been a tremendous partner in this. One of the things we're signing these partnership agreements with the city and the colleges, and then with the city and the Seattle Public Schools. But what this has done, this process, and the way we have laid out the levy implementation plan, is really brought partners together to create a system for our kids. And we know that as we see all of this prosperity happening in our city, that there's huge disparity in who's getting access to that prosperity. And so for all of us now to be on the same page and putting equity first, and I love the way that our new superintendent has outlined that those students who are furthest away from educational justice. And we have equity, diversity, and inclusion in our strategic plan. It is now at the heart and center of the Seattle Public Schools, and it's always been at the heart of what the city does. And so for now, all three of us to come together to say, this is what we want for our children, it's really a historical moment in our city. So thank you for your leadership.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really have enjoyed the opportunity to work with both of you over the last several years since I've been on the City Council, first in the context of just re-upping the funding for 13th year, and then the transition into thinking about more sustainable, bigger project. And really want to thank Seattle colleges and the foundation for their willingness to step up and also establish the endowment and continue to grow the program. I think that's really important. And as a graduate myself of a community college, I certainly understand the power of being able to access education in a way that is affordable and that it's at home and close to home. And I think that I hope that many students who have similar lived experiences to mine and to those of us who are sitting around this table continue to see this as a wonderful opportunity to be able to be literally anything they want to be. So very excited about continuing the partnership and having it be more formalized in this way, and looking forward to the ongoing lessons and learning opportunities that we're going to have together as we launch the Seattle Promise in a much more formal and a much larger way. So thank you all for your continued partnership and work.
So Councilwoman Gonzalez, you talked about the foundation. We are very excited, just hired a new vice chancellor for advancement. And that person will be introducing her, working with the mayor. We need to go out raising funds to sustain the program for long haul beyond the levy.
Yeah, so. Great, wonderful. Yeah. I'll be excited to meet the new vice chancellor. Yeah. Great. Anything anyone else would like to add, or Dr. Chappelle, you want to?
I have one more slide, but if you still want
No, take us home, unless unless Councilmember Mosqueda, you have any questions about the partnership agreements thus far. Great.
So this is actually the last slide I wanted to share with everyone. It's pretty exciting. In Section 10 of the partnership agreement, it really speaks to what we all have been just talking about. But Section 10 basically highlights our approach to working together and our mutual commitment to collaboration, communication, or should I say better communication, and supporting each other in our shared goals, and ultimately looking at strengthening our shared voice and messaging regarding the program enrollment from SPP all the way through Promise. So we wanted to really share this piece with you as well, because we know how committed that we are to working together, but ultimately this section right here is highlighting that as well.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Chris, did you want to say anything on behalf of Mayor Durkin?
You know, not to beat a dead horse, but I'd also like to just, on behalf of the mayor, share my thanks to colleagues and Deal and Superintendent Juneau, the district, Chancellor Penn, Dr. Lang at the colleges. I didn't want to miss out on what is essentially the pre-function to the celebration on Monday, with hopefully the passage of the plan as well as the agreement. And again, thank you to your leadership and Councilmember Mosqueda as well, and former Councilmember Johnson, who perhaps may be watching on TV, for your guys' leadership. It has been indeed a journey together, and I'm just happy to have been a part of it and to see sort of the levy dollars and investments and approaches that we've developed really come to fruition in the coming years.
Great, thank you.
And so with that being said, I too would like to thank you all for what you've done. Appreciate the learning that I've experienced from working with you. I'm looking forward to it. We know this is just the beginning, thinking about the LOC and moving forward, but also wanted to thank my partners and at the table, and also the folks that really were grinding behind the scenes, the Monicas, the Tims, Marissas, and James Bushes, and our Cashels and people at Seattle Public Schools. Really want to just especially thank them for helping us move this along. So
great, thank you. Any other comments, Councilmember Mosqueda? No? Okay. Some additional thank yous. I've already thanked all of you here. Also want to thank Brian and Allie from Council Central staff on all of their help. Also from the very, very, very inception of when we started working on this. And Brian, I think you actually worked on a couple of at least the Seattle Preschool Promise Levy when that was first instituted in 2014. Really have appreciated Allie and Brian's guidance and really solid policy analysis and work on a lot of these issues, and making sure that I was using Brian very strategically to answer all of the questions that I had and continue to poke at deal with all of those questions. So I appreciate your all's willingness in entertaining our questions and continuing to want to work with us. And then I also wanted to thank V. Nguyen from my office, who has been working on this also since she started at my office, and has been doing a tremendous amount of work in advocating for some of her own personal priorities through the levy, including making sure that there are strong investments in increasing the diversity of our educators within our system, which is, of course, as we all know, a really clear strategy towards closing that opportunity gap, and have really relied on her expertise to make the case for why that's an important investment through this levy, and excited about seeing it play out as well. Some of the other things that we advocated for that I'm really excited are included in this implementation evaluation plan also include new and exciting investments around making sure that we're addressing students and their families who are experiencing homelessness in both the pre-K system, but also in the K through 12 system, and really looking forward to working in partnership with many folks around how we get that model just right, so that we can best serve those students, their needs outside of school, so that they can show up and be ready to learn. Also, that was another priority of Ms. V. Nguyen that made its way into the levy. And then lastly, of course, making sure that we are being very conscious and deliberate about any potential unintended consequences as a result of access to the Seattle Promise program and how we've structured the program. I think it's going to be a really wonderful, amazing program, and we're going to yield tremendous results from it. And because of that, I want to make sure that those students who need it the most are the ones who are being prioritized in terms of access to that program, because I know how powerful it is to be able to go from high school to college. So thank you all so much for that. And then also wanted to just thank all of the staff from Deal. I know that they're sitting back there just waiting for this to end. Really want to appreciate your all's staffing on this and your preparation for levy oversight committee meetings, your preparation and tolerance of my interrogation during meetings about things that I care about in the levy. Really appreciate your willingness to continue to work with my office and with me, and to be really receptive to that. And then Director Chappelle, thank you so much for your partnership, your leadership, and your vision in this space. I've really appreciated getting to know you better over the last couple of years and working with you closely on getting us to this point. And I am very confident that we will have support in full council on Monday. And if we don't, they'll have to answer to me.
As you said, we learn together, we grow together.
That's right.
So, hope I'm not out of line. Also want to thank Dr. Kurt Butler, who is our Vice Chancellor from Seattle Colleges, and our Promise Director, Melody McLean. She's carrying the baby. Will be Seattle Promise new baby in a few months. She's been wonderful working with supporting, so I want to thank them as well.
Too. Yeah, Councilmember Mosqueda's baby may also qualify for Seattle Promise, so that's pretty, and pre-K.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Full spectrum. It's a testimonial right here. Yeah. And then, of course, want to thank the Seattle School District staff for all of your partnership and work on this and negotiating the agreements. And I also want to thank our counterparts over at the Seattle School Board for their unanimous approval of the partnership agreement. So really excited about being able to move this forward and excited about presenting these resolutions and the final overall package to full council on Monday, right after we make these motions. So anything else?
No, I'm incredibly proud to have been a small part of this and just excited to be here to watch you take it over the finish line. And, thanks again to you and Councilmember Johnson. Even though he's not here, we see his work reflected in the work you guys did previously. So thanks to all of you for your incredible work, but for allowing me to play some small part in this as we move this forward.
Well, thank you for all your support as well. And of course, thank you to our former colleague, Councilmember Rob Johnson, who was really instrumental and helpful to me in being a partner and thinking through how we were going to shepherd the process and how we were going to navigate relationships and ultimately what priorities should be in place. So definitely, if he's watching, thanks to him for that. And we'll make sure that he's part of the after party next Monday to make sure that he's also acknowledged for the tremendous amount of work that he has contributed to this levy as well. Okay, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion. I will move that the committee recommend the City Council adopt Resolution 31881.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. The ayes have it. The committee recommends that the City Council pass Resolution 31881 by a unanimous vote. And next, I will move that the committee recommend the City Council adopt Resolution 31182.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Did I say something wrong before I call this to vote?
Just a number wrong. Can you say the resolution number again, perhaps?
It's not 31182.
31882.
Oh. Okay. No, it's okay. I was looking at a different script and the number was incorrect. I move that the committee recommend the City Council adopt Resolution 31882.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. The committee recommends the City Council pass Resolution 31882 by a unanimous vote of this committee. Excellent. So now I will move to suspend the council rules so that Council Bill 119480 and Resolutions 31881 and 31882 may be considered this coming Monday, April 22nd.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Rules are suspended, and the suite of legislation will be considered on Monday, April 22nd, 2 p.m. here in council chambers by the full council. That is it.
Wrap.
That's a wrap for this. So congratulations to everyone. That is the last item on our agenda. There being no further business before the committee, we are adjourned. Thank you.